Ladies and gentlemen, Kim here. Welcome to the daily update. Hope you guys had a good day trading today. Market is up about 1% there. On the S&P Nasdaq did the same. Semiconductor also Dow, Russell 2000, transport, banks, energy, and biotech. And these guys are up quite a bit, 3% each. We got the healthcare, home builders, utility, retail, emerging market. Looks like every single indices are up today. I know it was down. It was a red day earlier, but looks like market had recovered towards the end of the day today. Bitcoin, gold, silver, miners are up, dollar down, oil up, treasury bond up, VIX is down about 4% there. Let's see what they do under ETF. Spider, 65-minute chart here. So this is where we closed yesterday, and looks like we opened down right here. So we actually gapped down. You can see right there. And so one thing that I was really harping on the last night analysis is that, you know, we talked about that bearish divergence setup. And so should there be any kind of decline going into today, what the buyers needed to do, they needed to protect this gap right here, that green box. They needed to protect this gap with all their might if they want to survive this month of June. And you can see how quickly, I think bulls, this was like a bull's desperate attempt to save further chaos that could potentially come to the market by bringing it up with some crazy move right on that gap down. So what happened was when the gap down happened, obviously there was an open gap, the open down gap. That down gap was filled right away, but stayed through with this long bullish candle there. And then not only that, you know, the down gap was filled, but on the second hour, you can see how bulls got up trying to break above the micro-term moving average. We also extensively talked about the micro-term, how the micro-term moving average has been supporting the bears for the last, pretty much this entire month, right? And so that's the level where we caught that resistance on that second hour. And then on the third hour, it actually came back down. You can see that lower wick on the third hour candle. Basically, that short-term moving average was there to support the buyers. With that though, with this candle, we really found that momentum here, right? So there's a third hour or fourth hour, fifth hour, sixth hour. We're back above the micro term and the short term. And buyers parked right on that gap. That down gap wasn't fully filled. And I talked about the fact that buyers need to finish the job, because if you don't finish the job completely, you can see that down gap was not fully filled, about 15% remaining. And with that, you can see the shenanigans that came about, that decline. And even with the down gap, probably a lot of people are freaking out on the gap down this morning, right? So we're back at it here. And this is very, very important. So another thing that I talked about in the last night's update is that buyers need to gap back up as quickly as possible, right? Like preferably this week, because if you leave this down gap too long, bears are going to come down, and bears are going to come down pretty fast and you know, create chaos in the market. So I think, you know, once that gap, that, you know, up gap was protected right here, bulls brought it right back up. We're right near the down gap. So tomorrow, best case scenario for the bulls is to gap it over. That would be the best case scenario, but at least in any case, bulls need to fill this down gap tomorrow. Because if this down gap doesn't get filled again, because it already served as pretty strong resistance here, at least in the micro term, you can see how, you know, that market did come down, and we also saw pretty sizable down gap next day. So this down gap must be filled. Let's check out that oscillator. See if we can extract any more information. So this is, so you can see that oscillator is attempting to break out above that falling resistance, right? That, the purple dotted, line there. So this was that bearish divergence setup that I talked about, right? We got that higher high and lower high. And with that, we did see that gap down. But bears are not really materializing it, because if you look at this in the overall sense, in the last couple of weeks, we're actually consolidating through time, right? While the oscillator kind of gets back up and reset, right? Because ultimately, bears wanted to materialize from this bearish, divergence by bringing that oscillator down, or by bringing that price down. Keep in mind, just a couple weeks ago, you can see right here, when that oscillator turned down, and this is without the bearish divergence, you see that price coming down pretty heavily. We had bearish divergence. We also saw that oscillator coming down very, very hard, but you can see how buyers are keeping this afloat, elevated above this gap, biding their time, just waiting for the, and again, keep in mind though, this is how the buyers operate. They move much slower than the bears. Bears don't have a lot of patience. So what they're gonna do, they're just gonna bring it down hard as fast as they can. And that's the characteristics of the bears. However, the buyers, they like to kind of build things, right? They like to move things inch by inch and they take a lot of time to absorb some of that, that bearish selling sentiment. We definitely had that selling sentiment, just last couple days right here, several days, especially with the bearish divergence. And I have to say that bears are doing really, really well trying to neutralize that bearish divergence, trying to break out. So once we need to see, so if this thing gets up tomorrow, and break out, this oscillator will see that advancement to the upside, and we have a lot of space right here. That means bulls have energy, right? And they can't even possibly bring this up to 430. And a couple days ago, I made a video titled that bulls eyeing on, 430. And so even though we see that decline for a couple of days, or at least, some consolidations for a couple of days, bulls are trying again. And they're eyeing on that 430 down gap that wasn't filled since early May. I'm gonna come back for you. We'll reassess the situation. Enjoy your evening and go train tomorrow.
You're not happy, or you're only half happy, or?
Still to be happy about.
You're up 2-0.
Job's not finished. Job finished? I don't think so.